Hi, I'm Dave from Cornerstone Prosthetics. I'm here today to introduce the Bartlett Tendon Universal Knee System. The next part in the process is to attach the proximal and distal attachments to the knee frame itself. That's the proximal attachment piece. Now we'll attach the distal. We want to make sure that we have the attachment screws Loctited and torqued into place. The next part of the process is to attach the tube clamp. Once that's set into place, we want to take our foot with the pylon. I've already got this pylon cut to length. We want to make sure that we slide the lower tendon attachment with the oval part of the attachment down. We want to slide this onto the pylon, and we'll just leave it loose for now because we're going to set the height once we have the knee unit on the patient. So now we're ready to attach the pylon onto the knee unit. Want to slide it into place. Now we're ready to attach our socket onto the knee frame. Now we're ready to have the patient put the prosthesis on and get ready to set our upper tendon attachments. It's very important to make sure we have proper alignment before the tendon attachments are placed onto the socket. If we get them in the wrong position, it's very hard to remove them in order to fix the mistake. The knee can be used for many different activities. The knee is used for snowboarding, water sports, bicycling. So whatever sport you're involved in, it's just very important to have that alignment set before upper attachment sections are placed. Pretty smooth?
Yeah, it does.
The next step in our process is to apply the upper tendon connectors. So the first thing I would recommend is making a copy of the template, and then from the copy cut out the rectangles that will be used to set the tendon attachment. Now we recommend anywhere from 8 to 8 3/4 from knee center to the center of the ball on the tendon attachment. So the first thing we want to do is establish our 8 3/4 or 8 inches depending on where you want to be. So we'll measure up, which will put us right here on the socket. Now, one of the things I like to do is use a rubber band to mark my height. So I'm going to put the rubber band on, double check my measurement, and again, in Brian's case, he prefers 8 inches. The next step in our process will be to line up a tendon to make sure that we have our rotation of the tendon attachment correct. Get a feel for where the center spot will be. I like to mark the center on that particular tendon and then place our template. It's very important to make sure that the position of the tendon attachment is correct to make sure that the tendon aligns with the upper guide wheel. If we're off center, it will cause the tendon to rub or wear on the side of the guide wheel. So before we use our adhesive, we want to double check to make sure that we're in line with our template. So we're going to make a slight change to our template, That looks good for that side. Now I want to double check the other side to make sure that we're going to be in a good position there, and that looks really good. So we're going to take this off and we're going to make a tracing of where we want to put the upper tenon attachment. So we just do that with our Sharpie. Okay, now we can take the template off. And now we're ready to attach our upper tenon attachment blocks. It's very important to rough sand the bottom side of the tenon attachment and to also rough the socket up. This will ensure that the adhesive bonds the tenon attachment to the socket. This is the adhesive delivery system. Comes complete with a gun and the plunger. They come disassembled, so we'll want to assemble that first. We want the teeth down. Hold the metal tab up and slide the plunger all the way through. The next thing we'll want to do is open the gun itself, load the glue cartridge, and snap it into place. When we're ready to use the adhesive, we want to take the cap off, turning it counterclockwise and making sure that the green cap is completely out of the glue cartridge. We take one of our gluing tips, place it onto the glue cartridge, and turn it 90 degrees to make sure it's locked under the shoulder. Now we're ready to use our adhesive. First step in attaching the upper tenon attachments, to use a pair of gloves. Keep some extra gloves handy. We'll use them during the smoothing process. So we want to remove the cap, making sure that the green tip comes out with it. Use one of our adhesive tips, lock it in underneath the shoulders, and then squeezing our glue out onto our tenon attachment. Then we're going to put the tenon attachment into place, pushing it down onto the socket, and then we'll want to use our glove to remove any excess and blend it into the socket. Those gloves can be removed and discarded, and another set put on to finish the job. And do a little bit of fine tuning before the glue sets. This creates a nice smooth transition. We'll let the adhesive set and lock the upper tenon attachment into place before we apply another layer of glue and smooth them in, so that it makes a very smooth transition between the tenon attachment and the socket. So if we have some areas that aren't filled all the way, we can use a bead of the glue, of the adhesive, as a filler. So we can basically run a small bead through the areas that we want to blend and fill, and then we can just use a gloved finger to smooth in the transition. So we put the adhesive on and then basically just blend in the transition. You can actually use a little bit of what you have on your glove to really do a nice job of smoothing it in. Sometimes you need to change your gloves in order to finish the job. Once the adhesive starts to set, we need to stop smoothing and blending because it'll take the adhesive and drag it. Occasionally what we'll do is utilize the tenon attachments where they are, make sure that everything's working well, allow the amputee to use the prosthesis as it is, and then if they would like to have a beauty coat where this is all blended as one piece, we've got some silicone fillers that can be added into the tenon attachments, and then a beauty coat lamination can be done over the top. Or occasionally, if the prosthesis gets very beat up, marred up from use, we can also at that time do a beauty coat over the whole thing, and that really blends it out looking nice. So those silicone dummies, the silicone inner pieces are available for beauty coat. Applying the tenon to the knee is a very easy process. First, we take the tenon, slide it into the upper tenon attachment, flex the knee, attach the tenon ball into the lower tenon attachment, and extend the knee. The tenon is then lifted over the tenon guide and put into place.